This is our second installment in the series of traumatic brain injuries that happen in relationship to car wrecks or other things that we would handle here at the office. In the first video that we did on traumatic brain injury a couple weeks ago, we talked about basically what is a traumatic brain injury, where do you find the signs and symptoms, and I think we put reference materials underneath the video that basically define what a traumatic brain injury is and what the symptoms are.
Yep.
Now we're going to talk about the phase that usually happens after the ER and before you're formally diagnosed with a traumatic brain injury. There's a period of, I don't want to call it gray because people tend to refer to the brain as gray matter.
Gray matter.
Right. But, and I'm not trying to be funny here at all, but there's a gray area that occurs between the time that you're diagnosed with post-concussion symptoms, which most of the time resolve on their own, and the time that you're diagnosed with a more permanent traumatic brain injury.
Yeah.
That diagnosis for the traumatic brain injury usually occurs in the neurologist's office. A neurologist is a specialist doctor that specializes in the study of the neurological system, brain and spinal cord. And they're the ones that typically diagnose traumatic brain injury. Is that right?
Yeah.
All right. So tell us what that gray area usually consists of, Dr.
Yeah.
Malone.
So you're discharged from the ER. You're told you likely had a concussion. Your discharge paperwork may even say mild TBI or post-concussive. That's not the diagnosis of it. You don't need to be in the hospital for a severe TBI where you're in a coma and things like that. So you're able to ambulate, you're able to function, but things just don't maybe feel right. So it's 24 hours or more. We're having sleep disturbance, memory problems, cloudiness, things like that. That's when it'd be important to follow up with a physician. So your primary care doctor, someone who you can establish care with, because this is not going to be a one-time visit thing either. So that physician would see you and say, okay, it looks like you're in the ER. Do we need to order any other testing that physician would then be able to field the results in? Or would they say, you know what, let's give us a little bit of time, come back, and at that point, maybe we do need a neurologist. So there's more testing that would happen at that point. Typically, the CT scan would be done in the ER originally to make sure that nothing that is catastrophic is in play. After that, they'd be looking at MRIs, some other modalities of MRI imaging, and then the neurologist office would come in and ask you a whole host of special questions, special exam techniques, and then additional testing from there.
Right. So obviously there's some time where you're going to be aggravated, frustrated, confused because you're having all these symptoms that you can look up online and see they're related to traumatic brain injury, but nobody's going to say that. Nobody's going to give the diagnosis of a traumatic brain injury. Even the neurologist is not going to do that right away. So there's going to be a period of time where you're going to be suffering from these symptoms that ultimately will probably be classified traumatic brain injury symptoms, but nobody's going to want to say that.
Yep.
Most of the time, our clients are treating with doctors or medical doctors that are concentrating on the disc injury in their neck or back. And as an aside, they are telling the physician that's doing that, oh, I'm also having these brain injury symptoms. And it's not getting the immediate attention of a physician for several weeks or months until you get to a neurologist. And going to a neurologist the very first time, though, Dr. Malone, is not the same thing as getting a diagnosis. They have to go through not only test during that visit, but probably there's going to be a series of both neurological and neuropsych testing that is done before they will arrive at a TBI diagnosis.
Exactly, and a neurologist many times will rely on the history that you or the patient provides, but showing up with a journal, showing up with someone else to corroborate your history, that helps to supplement the story that they're given and someone who they can better gauge on what's different now than before. So that's, again, not one visit thing. It's, come back again with your loved one or a coworker or a neighbor, and they can say, you know what, yeah, like they're really not getting any better, and we're trying everything as far as conservative measures that we can. And the conservative measures are usually like regulating your sleep-wake, trying to maintain a normal schedule, your dietary habits, your physical activity, things like that. And those are best monitored under the care of a neurologist.
Very good. And did you have any of the materials that you wanted to reference in this video?
So we have a couple of things that we're going to link below. One is from National Institutes of Health, NIH. The other one is from the American Academy of Neurology, AAN, both reputable organizations, and tell you a little bit more about what we talked about in the first video, and then some of the testing that would be involved here, as well as the care the neurology team would bring to you.
And we'll link all those documents below this video. If you have questions about a traumatic brain injury or any type of injury resulting from a traumatic event and you feel like you need to get legal advice, you can find us on the web at zarzaurlaw.com, or you can call us at 855-HIRE-JOE. Thank you.